Let's bring in Joe diGenova. He is a former U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, a very smart guy, deeply involved with politics. So I want to advance the story, Joe. I mean, I'm sure you spent yesterday celebrating because you are a supporter of the Republican Party and Donald Trump. Trump won, got a victory out of this. But going forward, I gave you my unintended consequences. First of all, do you disagree with any of them? And second of all, do you have a list that you put together?
Your list is right on the money. And here's my list. The unintended consequence of the Mueller conclusion is, and for the left, it is an underscoring of the fact that there was a brazen plot concocted in 2016 to exonerate Hillary Clinton illegally, and then if she lost the presidency, to frame Donald Trump. It is now clear, as it was to me almost 2 years ago after the James Comey July 5th news conference, that that is exactly what happened. And now, as a result of Mueller's unabashed, unadulterated conclusion that there was no evidence of any collusion, there now must be a federal grand jury, which I expect Bill Barr to order impaneled, to investigate the conduct of the senior Obama DOJ and FBI officials and the intelligence community officials who weaponized law enforcement and the intelligence community to take down a sitting president and a candidate for president. And what they did was sedition. It was sedition, clear and simple. It needs to be investigated. And the first person in the grand jury has to be John Brennan. He is a traitor to the Constitution.
Okay. Now, wouldn't it be easier to get an investigation? And I don't want another special counsel. And I don't know if the FBI is put back together. I just don't know. But Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General of the Justice Department, is supposed to issue a report on the FBI's investigation into Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Now, when and he doesn't have subpoena power, by the way, and he doesn't have the power to recommend indictments. But once that gets out to the public, whatever Horowitz says, if he agrees with you, isn't that much more powerful then to call for a federal investigation?
Oh, I'm perfectly happy to wait for Mr. Horowitz to finish his job, which should be well toward its conclusion. And I'm assuming that he purposely did not issue his report until the Mueller probe was over. So I expect him to report within the next 90 days. And then I also expect, because I don't think it's going to be a clean report, there's no way that it can be, I expect the Attorney General to say, we need a grand jury and we're going to have one. And Bill Barr,
that would be the way to go. But you could even do it further because John Huber does have the power to recommend indictments. And he is the U.S. Attorney in Utah that has been assigned to specifically look at the FBI. See, Horowitz looking at the entire Justice Department. He's looking at a lot of different things. But Huber is just in the FBI. Now, Huber can go back to Barr, the Attorney General, and say, you know what? Comey's got to be indicted. So does McCabe. So does so-and-so. So does Strzok. So does Page. Boom, for this, that, and the other thing. Then you don't need the grand jury. Then they can just indict right off that.
Well, I think that's possible, Bill. I think that Huber, we don't know what Huber's doing. There are many people who think that Sessions' appointment of Huber was a head fake, that it was designed to deflect criticism of him, Sessions, for doing nothing. I haven't made up my mind about John Huber. I'm going to wait to see what type of product he produces. And if it's what, as you suggest, it might be, I'll be a very happy person because there is no doubt in my mind that Brennan and Clapper and Comey and McCabe and John Carlin, the Assistant Attorney General for the National Security Division, and Sally Yates went well beyond the lines of authority. They authorized false applications to the FISA court. And by the way, make no mistake about it, based on the January 20th email of Susan Rice to the file, talking about the fact that Barack Obama met with all his senior law enforcement and intelligence community people on January 5th to discuss the ongoing investigations of Trump. Obama authorized everything that was done during this period. And sooner or later, he's going to have to be asked about it.
I don't know if he authorized it, Joe. I don't know if that's fair. He certainly knew about it. He knew about it. But authorized and knew about it are two different things. Yes, he did attend the meeting according to Ms. Rice. So obviously he knew that there were people looking at. But if you were the president, I think you would have attended a meeting like that too, even though you're on your way out and a new president is coming in 2 weeks. You still want to know while you're in the White House if Russia did anything heinous, right?
Bill, he called that meeting. He asked those people to come in and brief him about the status. Now, first of all, if you're issuing FISA warrants against the presidential candidate of the opposing party, and you are the FBI director, the Attorney General of the United States, and the director of CIA, you do not do that without the approval of the President of the United States.
He's got to know. But just like Donald Trump doesn't interfere with Barr, or hasn't, or when Sessions was in there, I don't know of one case where Donald Trump called up Sessions or called up Barr and said, do this, even though he could, because he's a top law enforcement official. I mean, I've been calling for, and I want to get your opinion on this, I think President Trump should tell the American people today or tomorrow where the Horowitz thing is. Is it going to be another month? Are you working on it? Is he close? You know, the people want to know this. It's important for the folks, not just the power guys in Washington, right?
I agree, and I think he should, and I think he will, by the way, declassify all of the information that he has refused to do so because he was advised by the White House counsel not to do so.
Not to do it because it would look like it was muddling the Mueller thing. I got the same information you have, and I'm sure somebody told it to you because they told it to me. And I don't use anonymous sources, Joe. But now that you raised it, I can say that it is going to be dropped soon. The whole FISA thing is going to be declassified and everybody's going to get it. That brings me to my last question of unintended consequences. The progressive liberal media has been damaged. You'd agree with that, right?
Absolutely.
Where you live, the Washington Post, dominant newspaper, they can't be happy at the Washington Post. I mean, they can't. Their whole credibility shredded. They have to give back their Pulitzer. So does the New York Times. I mean, they don't have to because they'd never in Norway demand it back, but they should. Okay. So anyway, you have now embarrassment. They're flailing around like Chris Matthews is flailing. Why didn't they do this? Like, come on. Flailing. You get Horowitz and Huber on top of that, on top of it. I mean, they may be wiped off the map before this is all over.
I agree with you, Bill. I think the mainstream media, the major American journalistic institutions, the networks, the cable news networks, and of course the Washington Post and the New York Times have suffered a profound blow to their credibility as news organizations. Their behavior since the election of Donald Trump has been a disgrace to the First Amendment. While I would not call the press the enemy of the First Amendment, I would call the press the enemy of the press, the enemy of objectivity, the enemy of neutrality, the enemy of journalism. They have destroyed whatever was left of journalism, and it's going to take a long time for them to recuperate. But here's the sad part. They do not care. They hate this president so much that they are going to continue to besmirch themselves by outrageous conduct in the journalism area. I left a phone call today for 3 Washington Post reporters who had reported on the Trump matter over the last year and a half and who had reported some pretty dumb stuff. And I left a message for them telling them I wanted to discuss the Mueller report and how it showed how erroneous their reporting was. I haven't gotten a call back yet. I don't think.
You can use this, Joe. You don't have to attribute it to me. But the press is not the enemy of the people. It's not the enemy of the people, okay? Because the people have a choice.
Yep.
All right? They have a choice. They can walk away, as I have in many cases. The press in America is the enemy of the truth.
I agree.
Seek the truth for monetary reasons and for ideological reasons. So anyway, you want to use that, you can use it. And I really appreciate you helping us out, Joe. We know you're one of the busiest guys in the world, and it's very nice to have you on. I'm sure my audience feels the same way. Thank you very much.
Pleasure to be with you, Bill. Let me tell you.
All right.
Thanks.